now have two direct jurors from Karen Read's case coming out and speaking out. Also, shout out to Goosh. She's the one that let me know this is happening. She has the best flowcharts for the Karen Read trial. So if you need like a how-to of a who's who, follow Goosh. I'm going to tag her below. Let's roll! You guys ready for the reading bobblehead? This is so fucking juicy. As reflected in the attached affidavit of Alan J. Jackson, a fourth deliberating juror, Juror D, has now confirmed that the jury reached not guilty verdicts on count 1 and count 3. Once they were dismissed, many of the jurors appeared uncomfortable with how things ended, wondering, quote, is anyone going to know that we acquitted Karen Read on count 1 and 3? No one ever asked about these. Can I say, I told you so? And furthermore, Juror D told counsel part of her discomfort was that she knew that the jury had reached verdicts on 2 counts, and Karen Read might be retried on those 2 counts. And, quote, that's just not right. Juror D further stated, every one of us will agree and acknowledge that we found Karen Read not guilty of counts 1 and 3 because that's what happened. And are you ready for that Jackson sass that we all love? Goes on to say that this statement of Juror D completely confirms the veracity of the previously filed affidavits regarding jurors A, B, and C. The defense respectfully renews its contention that the jury acquitted Miss Read on counts 1 and 3, or alternatively, there was no manifest necessary or why do lawyers have to do so many big words in one sentence? Necessity for a mistrial as to those counts, and therefore the double jeopardy protections of the federal and state constitution require that those counts not be retried. Let's make it a song. Next, we have the affidavit of Alan Jackson based off of this conversation with Juror D, aka Juror number 4. Back to the reading bobblehead. On Monday, July 8th, 2024, I was contacted by Juror D, so they're withholding the name. He goes on, Juror D told me that she decided to reach out to me because she was uncomfortable with how the trial ended. She said that the last day of the trial was a whirlwind and everything happened so fast. She recounted that her perspective was that the jury was brought into the courtroom, the note was read, the mistrial was declared, and the jury was then rushed out of the courtroom. Following a brief meeting with the judge, the next thing they all knew, the jury was on the bus. She described the end of the trial as very confusing. What have we all known the entire time? That the jury was confused because this trial was a shit show. We so called this. Juror D said that it was very troubling that the entire case ended without the jury being asked about each count, especially count 1 and count 3. So Bev did not even ask them. Very concerning. What the fuck is Bev doing? Juror D explained that the jury reached not guilty verdicts on count 1 and count 3, and the disagreement was solely as to count 2 and its lesser offense. And it gets better because they were actually discussing telling the judge, but they were not sure if they were allowed to say so because they were never probed, because they were never told this, because Bev is a terrible thing. Oh, the jury believed that they were compelled to come to a resolution on all counts before they could or should report verdicts on any of the...
Skip this video if you don't love your mother. Which place would you choose for your mother? Click the follow, like, and share buttons if you choose heaven. I give you 3 seconds to choose.
Counts. After discussion, the jury decided to inform the court that they were deadlocked, and they expected that they would get further instruction about the remaining decided counts thereafter. Juror D explained that she was confused and upset that such further instruction never came. And when they were excused and went on the bus, many of the jurors appeared uncomfortable with how things ended, wondering, is anyone going to know that we acquitted Karen Read on count 1 and 3? No one ever asked about these counts. That she knew that the jury had reached verdicts on 2 counts and Karen Read might be retried on those 2 counts. Quote, that's just not right. Jackson then probed and asked, would other jurors feel this way? And they said, quote, every one of us will agree and acknowledge that we found Karen Read not guilty of counts 1 and 3 because that's what happened. It would be unjust for Karen Read to be retried on count 1 or count 3. And here is the icing on the cake. Listen to this shit. If necessary, she would testify in order to explain to the court that the jury unanimously reached not guilty verdicts on count 1 and count 3 as long as his or her identity remained protected. This person is willing to go under oath and tell the truth, unlike all of the other, prosecution witnesses, but I digress. I think we're probably going to hear from more because, remember, they're on a group chat together. They're chatting.